and peaceful participation in elections. Number 3, youth and children. We note with deep concern the growing unrest and disillusionment among the youth. Many young people face uncertainty due to unemployment and limited opportunities, making them vulnerable to negative influences. The misuse of technology alongside rising cases of substance abuse and gambling addiction continues to erode the moral fabric of society and endanger the future of our children. We call upon the government, families, churches, and all stakeholders to invest in mentorship programs, job creation, and skill development. There is also an urgent need to provide moral guidance, psychosocial support, and safe environments where young people can thrive and realize their full potential. We further urge young people to seek help, guidance, and support from trusted institutions and professionals rather than relying solemnly on self-therapy. Road carnage. We express deep concern over the rising cases of road accidents driven by recklessness, negligence, and impunity among road users. As of April 2026, fatalities have surpassed 1,100, with over 7,000 people involved in accidents this year alone. In 2025, road crashes claimed 5,009 lives, a notable increase from 2024, with pedestrians, motorcyclists, and passengers most affected. These accidents cost the economy about 5% of the GDP. Key causes include drunkenness, overspeeding, and corruption in traffic enforcement. Beyond the tragic loss of life, families face immense hardship while the economy suffers. We urge strict law enforcement and call on all road users to act responsibly, emphasizing that road safety requires collective discipline, vigilance, and accountability. Number 5 is corruption. We strongly condemn the continued abuse of public trust through corruption and the misappropriation of public resources. Corruption undermines development, widens inequality, and erodes confidence in public institutions. We call for accountability, transparency, and firm action against all those involved in corrupt practices, regardless of their status or position. As a nation, we must uphold integrity and ethical leadership of fundamental values in both public and private sectors. Number 6, weakening of civic responsibility. We are concerned about the growing disregard for civic responsibility, as evidenced by littering, vandalism, and public disorder. Such behavior reflects a decline in discipline and respect for shared spaces. We call upon all citizens to embrace responsible conduct, environmental stewardship, and active participation in maintaining cleanliness and order in all our communities. The PCA Church has been involved in aggressive reforestation and tree planting campaign. We advise all citizens to take advantage of rainy seasons to plant more trees. We further encourage the adoption of sustainable environmental practices, including the promotion of green energy solutions to safeguard our environment for future generations. A clean, healthy, and orderly environment is essential for national dignity and sustainable development. Number 7 is uncertainty in education transitions. We note the concerns surrounding the education sector, which include the senior schools infrastructure and books for CBC grade 10, university funding model, and the need for reliable capitation to schools as well as to TVET institutions. Uncertainty in funding and policy implementation continues to affect learners, parents, and educators. We urge the government to provide clarity, consistency, and adequate funding to ensure stability, equality, equity, quality in education. Education remains a key pillar in national development and must be safeguarded. Number 8, family and moral issues. We emphasize the central role of the family as the foundation of society, shaping the nation's moral and social fabric. We call for renewed commitment to more values, responsible parenting, and the nurturing of strong, resilient families. Parents, guardians, and community leaders must intentionally instill discipline, integrity, and faith in the younger generation. We also express concern over challenges affecting families, including mental health struggles, substance abuse, and the triple threat of HIV, teenage pregnancies, and gender-based violence. These issues undermine communities and the future of our children and youth, requiring collective action, open dialogue, and sustained support system. Healthcare. We express concern over inadequate healthcare service delivery to citizens under the Social Health Authority, SHA, as well as the delayed disbursement of funds to church-owned hospitals, including Kikuyu, Chogoria, and Tumutumu, among other faith-based facilities. These challenges hinder effective service provision and place significant strain on critical institutions. We urge the government to expedite the disbursement of funds owed to religious-owned hospitals, recognizing their vital role in complementing public health care provision and ensuring accessibility, quality services for all citizens. Number 10 is global political harmony. We are deeply concerned about the ongoing global political tensions, including the Russia-Ukraine conflict and rising US-Iran tensions, which continue to impact economies worldwide, including Kenya. These crises have driven up fuel, food, and fertilizer prices, disrupted trade, and increased the cost of living. As an import-dependent economy, Kenya faces inflation, supply chain challenges, and slowed economy activity, affecting households and businesses. We call for global political harmony, peace and reconciliation, emphasizing dialogue and cooperation to safeguard stability, protect vulnerable economies, and promote sustainable development. In conclusion, as PCA, the Church, we reaffirm our commitment to pray for the nation and to be agents of peace, justice, reconciliation, and transformation, we remain steadfast in our calling to speak truth to power, promote righteousness, and serve all people without discrimination. We call upon all Kenyans to remain united, hopeful, and grounded in faith as we work together to build a just, peaceful, and prosperous nation. May God bless Kenya. Signed by the moderator and the Secretary General, if agreed. Our first draft moderator.
Thank you. We can appreciate them. Okay, that will go to the newspapers. The church speaking to the nation. Therefore, we need to agree if it captures what PC would want to say to the nation. This is not now, we are not speaking just to our members. We are speaking to the entire nation. So the issues are issues that concern the nation. And as you have heard, they cut across. So I don't know whether there is anything you hear like was left out or needs to be removed. Reverend Jige.
Thank you, Moderator. Maybe in the introduction, I didn't hear them quoting the Bible verse. They just say that the theme is coming from, the theme that we have, we will serve the Lord. And since it will be led to some people who are not even Christians, maybe it's necessary that they include where the theme is coming from.
It is included. He might have skipped it, but it's there.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you. Reverend Kevisho.
Thank you, Moderator and the GAC. I am thinking about it's currently a big menace. It has been captured at I think in more fabric, just a mention.
Say it again. I think there is a problem with the connection. Get him a better mic.
Yes, Moderator. Moderator and the GAC, I think now I'm audible. Thank you. I'm just talking about mental illness that is a big menace now in the society. It has affected us as a church in a big way. It has been captured at just a mention in family and moral fabric. I thought it was something that we needed to really give emphasis, and also as a church give some recommendations on what we think is a solution, and encourage the parishes and the presbyteries to customize our programs in trying to have that many. So it is mentioned, yes, just a statement, but if we give more emphasis, it will be better for us. Thank you.
Remember, this is going to the nation, the entire nation. So I don't know whether we would go to think about our very own entities, much as it is important that we talk about mental health. So we need to phrase it that as a matter that cuts across. So that can be factored, but it will not address our own entities, it will address the nation. Yes? Elder Karaja? Start so that they know you. See, that is Elder Karaja. Kamau, that is, sorry, from Nyandarua.
Thank you, Moderator. My issue is pertaining the production of national identity cards. it has some areas, or rather, let me not use areas. From December, some applicants applied, and even today, they have not received their identity card. Therefore, registration for the national voters, that's sasa inakuwa shida. Thank you.
So there is a delay of processing of identity cards?
Thank you, moderator. Yeah.
Okay, note that then. Reverend Gloria, then we can cross over and then come to this side.
Thank you, moderator, and we appreciate the work done by the committee. One is that the statement looks quite lengthy. I don't know how they are going to deal with length. It is quite lengthy, and I don't know how much space we are looking at in the newspaper. And then on the first item, rather than call it 2027 general election, it would read better if we said early campaigns, because when you read through that first part, it's about early campaigns rather than 2027 general election, considering that you still have another press statement in that year. Thank you, moderator.
Okay. In regard to space, I thought we agreed that when we are doing it, it should be almost a full page, because it only comes once in a year, and we are speaking to the nation, and we aren't a small church. It's expensive, yes, but then we want to be visible, and not only visible, but be heard. So I guess the space should be something like a full page. I know it's expensive. Elder Jane?
Thank you, moderator, sir. Mine is on the SHA paragraph. We have indicated the faith-based hospitals, but I think it's also important to indicate the private also, faith-based and private, because they're also suffering on the same.
Although we would much speak for ourselves, but since it is speaking to the nation, no harm in saying a bit of that. Okay, then we come over here, Reverend Mwaniki.
Thank you, moderator, sir. I will seek your guidance concerning the, I have two issues. That is money. First of all, it's money. They've indicated that we urge the government to clear the large amount of money that is owed to the faith-based organization, our hospitals. Moderator General, when some of the churches call for press conference concerning the debt with the government, they are bold to mention the amount of money that is owned by the government. Is there any harm, moderator, I will basket your knowledge and guidance, is there any harm if we say that runs to a tune of 800 million? Let the people know that they owe us money. What if it's only 100,000 that we are claiming? Let the nation know that the government owes us to a tune of $1 billion. That would be good, moderator, if you guide me on that. Two, concerning the health, we've mentioned about HIV and AIDS and other diseases, but moderator, cancer is becoming a menace in the nation. We urge the government to declare cancer as a national disaster for more funding, because moderator, that disease is actually wiping us out of the ecosystem. Thank you.
Thank you. Dewa, finally, I don't see any other hand.
Moderator, as it was in the beginning, as it is now, shall be forevermore. The issue that we are doing right now is we are very traditional. My comment is that we will spend a lot of huge amount of money to put this in the newspaper. But I can assure you, none of us have read the newspaper this week. And maybe next week shall not going to read in the newspaper. And even if you put it as an article, my proposal is, even if it is not this right now, is that I could have wished that we raise the issues that are very serious on us. And you are well recorded. And those records can be sent to the groups, to the church, and people can hear the voice of the church, not through the newspapers. But because we are following as it was from our grandfathers, we can still do it a long message, put it in the newspaper, and none of us, few of us buy those newspapers. We must become more technological involved. 75% of the Kenyan population is below 35. So we are communicating only to 25, and maybe those who read the newspaper are 10%. So we must look for a way to communicate the same message in a very clear, specific way so that we can reach out to that population. But because we remain PCA, let it be so. But the message is too long, even for somebody to sit in the table room or sitting room to read the whole message in the house. It is too long that sometimes you may not be able even to remember what you read in the beginning.
We will still pursue that, even as we pursue the other channels, the social media channels, as much as possible, but also make sure we get this. There's still a traditional group out there that reads newspapers. It may not be big, but it's still there. And again, you know, when what goes to the newspapers is documented. Therefore, we'll still follow that, even as we follow those other channels that are good for communication. So I guess that with that then, the press release committee can now go and fine tune, because it's like not much is happening. Okay, then we can get to the next.
Moderator, I propose that we receive the report of the Moderatorial Report Committee.
Are you back? Okay, welcome.
Moderator sir, and the Honorable Committee, we want to thank God for the task entrusted to us to look at the moderator's report and develop resolutions out of it. I will ask the members of that committee to be upstanding. That was a team that was entrusted with this honorable work. And then you may be seated. I'll ask our secretary to table the report. Thank you.
Thank you, Moderator sir, and the GAC. We have the resolutions that we have constructed from the report of the moderator. Number 1, this GAC receives with thanks the report of the moderator to the second GAC of the 24th General Assembly. This GAC notes with appreciation the remarkable work done by the moderator in the year under review. This GAC notes with gratitude the significant milestone commemorating the ordination of the first African ministers to the Holy Ministry during the recent centennial celebrations held on 19th February 2026 at Tomotomo and on 15th March 2026 at Thogoto. Further, this GAC encourages presbyteries and parishes to cascade the celebrations to their respective areas.
Taken.
This GAC appreciates the historic resolution made to admit men to full membership based on the profession of faith. Further, this GAC notes with gratitude to God the profound milestone of strengthening the fellowship of men through admission to church full membership. Consequently, this GAC directs presbyteries to ensure adherence by parishes within their jurisdiction.
Taken.
This GAC notes with regret the increasing number of cases involving members, readers, and employees of the church seeking litigation in secular courts. While the church does not condone the violation of individual rights, This GAC urges members to exhaust the read-down church dispute resolution processes. Further, this GAC instructs the business committee and respective church courts to expedite aggrieved members' issues judiciously, fairly, and speedily.
Taken.
This GAC notes the This GAC notes the ongoing forensic audit process and instruct the business committee to carry it to its logical conclusion.
Taken.
This GAC directs the business committee to develop a broader, standardized, and binding financial policy and roll it out to all levels of the church.
Taken.
This GAC notes with concern the deviation from our constitutional and traditional ways of documentation and communication. Further, this GAC instructs the respective church courts to ensure adherence and proper training of readers.
Taken.
This GAC notes the growing need for evangelism and outreach. Further, this GAC instructs the business committee to consider GAC TV as a mission tool rather than only an investment and fund it accordingly.
Taken.
This GAC notes with a lot of concern that we can no longer differentiate the Women's Guild from other denominations' women groups, resulting in cases of mistaken identity and character assassination. Further, this GAC directs that forthwith the church refers to the original style of tying the Women's Guild headscarves, exposing the unique colors on the hem.
Taken.
This GAC notes the expansion of the digital space, which the church needs to be fully immersed in. Further, this GAC instructs the church through the business committee to fully embrace technology and develop a data protection policy template for adoption by all its institutions.
Taken.
This GAC notes the importance of having a standardized benchmark document for performance appraisal. Further, this GAC directs the business committee to develop such a tool and establish a support desk at the headquarters to manage the same.
Taken. Taken. Question.
Moderator and honorable commissioners and delegates, we already have an appraisal document in our human resource document. So it is not a lack of the document thereof. What is lacking is its implementation, because there is nobody who appraises me, though there is a document to appraise me in that human resource manual. So what we should be looking to is to how do we adhere to that benchmark document, because there is already a document to appraise me in that. The question is whether the sessions are courageous enough to appraise me. So I think we may want to drop that resolution for now. Moderator.
Okay. Father,
Moderator, whatever the commissioner alludes to is important, that we, for the report provided a framework for evaluation, benchmark evaluation, it may be important to reclassify or to reword the resolution so that it allows for a policy on how the evaluation is carried out, so that the document is there, but then the people are not courageous enough to do it. So can we then ask the committee to rephrase the resolution in such a way that it allows for a policy or a guiding or a framework within which the evaluation should be done?
Okay, there is agreement that there is already a benchmark appraisal document. What may be lacking is the tool. Of course, the speaker talked about even courage. Courage will never be legislated. But I don't know whether what we need is a tool, or what don't we have? What is lacking? Because I think that's what we are looking for. We already have a policy that is in our salary review book, but it's not being used. What is hindering us from using it? because that is what would make us do a resolution. If there is something we can do to help execute what is already there. If not, then we leave it as it is, as the situation as it is, because it is there in the salary review book. We could leave it as it is and then encourage people to be courageous to do the evaluation. But on the other hand, if there is anything that is lacking, that is what we would do a resolution about. Dr. Kalimi.
Thank you, Moderator. I think it's also time to acknowledge that this church has grown in leaps. And the failure to have a HR professional who specifically deals with the personnel. Right now, it's under the DSG, who is also involved with other administrative matters. I think it is good to explore a way where we have somebody specifically in charge of human resources so that there can be a proper follow-up. When we do these appraisal documents at the parish level, the follow-up may not be as good. Even the framework that we need somebody who reminds the presbyteries and the other institutions, where are the appraisal documents? I think it's the high time that we go that direction, Moderator.
Okay, then we can drop the resolution, because already there is an agreement in the church that we should have a HR officer. That is the office that now would look at these matters and say that this is the way they should be dealt with. So even if we legislated about it and we didn't have an office that would follow up, maybe you'd still be in a bit of trouble. So we could drop it so that we first pursue the other implementation of that office. Is that okay?
Thank you, Moderator and Commissioners. I would be happy to see the HR person in place, but I would want to encourage us. Well, that is important. Over time, Moderator, it has been proven that we work better within the structures of the committees and the courts of the church and the decisions done there. I'm not very sure of an individual who will be able to help us the way we would want without structures within our organization. Moderator and the Commissioners will remember that when the leaders gathered last year but one for the leaders seminar, we were informed of a presbytery that was invited for a meeting and they said we will not go. And there is nothing that was done to that presbytery. And the inviter was a senior officer of the church. I am trying to look at the HR person when probably Presbytery X has allowed maybe something that is not to be allowed to take place, and then there is a Reverend Bae, a Mr. Amesis in the office who is in charge of his HR, and is now trying to reach out to that person. So it's important that we look at ourselves and the need to do good in the light of how can we entrench it and strengthen our current structures, so that if it is the GAC session is borrowed to do its work. If it is the presbytery is borrowed to do what the presbytery should do. Well, having a person to help us is very, very good, but we also need to tell ourselves that our internal structures are not being exercised as they should be. Monitor. Thank you.
Okay. I feel like we are taking a bit of time because the resolution is we either agree with it or say no, this is not. I feel like we are digressing. Yeah, 5 hands up. I don't know which to pick and which to ignore. Yes, Reverend Megwe.
Moderator, I think you are guiding us well. I think you suggested and we drop that resolution for now, because it's good for us all to know that last GAC, when it registered on men coming back to the church, it carried the day. So within our structures, if there is goodwill, things learn. So for this time, I would suggest we go by your advice. We drop the resolution because there is an already existing benchmark policy. Thank you.
Dropped. Next resolution. Number 13, I guess.
Yeah, number 13. Thank you, moderator. This GAC recognizes the critical roles played by the church group directors. Further, this GAC instructs the business committee to fast-track the recruitment of the same through a competitive process while ensuring pastoral oversight. Sorry?
You don't say dropped. You give a reason and we agree. So you don't say dropped. I see hearts. Okay, Reverend Dolia.
Moderator, I may not correctly remember, but we have a resolution from the 21st General Assembly that spoke about the directors at the head office. It was specific because that is when we had discontinued the groups to other levels up to the parish. And at that juncture, it had been decided that those groups would now be manned differently. And even when we had said that we would do competitive recruitment, that is not what happened, except for PCMF then and the youth. Every other person was appointed. And what we are saying is that probably here we should say that there has been a process by the appointment committee to fill those positions. We would rather leave it to them. But when it is for a lay person, that is for elders, then the elders can be governed by the rules of recruitment. But for the ministers, we must not rank ministers. Ministers are ministers are ministers. That is why even the moderator is first among equals. So at the end of the day, they must not be in that office forever. We must leave the ministers, if they are the ones being recruited, to the appointment committee. We must leave the elders now to competitive recruitment. And so we would rather leave it as it is, moderator.
Okay.
Thank you, moderator. I think we need clarity on whether what the member has already alluded to is true as to whether some of the directors were just appointed. I believe that the directors have been going through recruitment at the head office, and that's why even when we were discussing this yesterday, we wanted clarity on whether it should be recruitment or appointment, because we believe there are terms and conditions for those who are recruited, and they cannot be just subjected to any other appointment when those terms are flouted, so to speak. So we need a clarity first on whether there are some that are appointed and others are recruited for us to continue well.
Okay.
Moderator, I think we discussed this yesterday in details. And we agreed that we are going through the appointment. We have already refused to be appraised, the appraisal, which is a very private matter to know how capable we are. Because appraisal in the HR does not mean that it has to be public. So yesterday we said as ministers, for those who will be appointed in those positions, it should be appointment because we are all first among equals. And there is no way we can say, even the people who are seated in front of us, though there was an election, they will still, after their service, come back to us. So why should we give some people some preference of recruitment, and yet those who are serving there, after their term is over, they come back to serve with us in the parish? So I think the issue of recruitment, the only thing we can say is that we try and appoint young generation.
Where?
Thank you, moderator. If we just talk about appointment, that will exclude recruitment of elders, and I would want to say that there should be a balance in that. If there are 12 of them, let 6 be elders.
Okay, I guess maybe we are talking about a policy about people occupying departmental positions at the head office. Maybe the resolution could talk about a final policy about directorship at the head office. Yes, instead of maybe talking about those who are posted, being posted is one way. And it is very appropriate for ministers, because ministers know they would be posted. They should be posted. And they can be posted because of their interest and so on, and their skills to run a certain office for a while. But then we need something, a policy covering directorship. Is that okay? Then we will have the resolution in that form now, talking of a general policy about directorship and addressing some of the issues that Daburia is talking about. So you could rephrase it then to take care now of all the directors, a policy for directorship in the head office. Okay, I think that's done. Next.
Yes, thank you, moderator. This GSC notes with concern the failure to file national church election returns with the government, affecting the issuance of marriage licenses to the newly ordained ministers. Further, this GSC instructs past GA officials, they are listed there, the very Reverend David Dido Gadanju, the Reverend Festus Kaburu Gitonga, Right Reverend Thego Mutahi, the then DSG, and Elder Amonderi, to introduce the current GA officials to the Attorney General's office. Consequently, this GSC instruct the business committee to ensure proper handing over and taking over now and in the future.
Taken. Next.
Thank you, moderator. I'll now call the chairman to continue, and as he seconds the report.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator, sir. We note that the moderator's report is very well referenced with the PP takeovers and also past resolutions of the GAC, and this forms the basis of the last resolution. The GAC notes with regret the many pending resolutions that have not been implemented. Further, this GAC instructs the business committee through its resolution committee to expedite action and report progress to the subsequent General Assembly or General Administrative Committees.
Taken.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. Those are the resolutions that we came up with through your report. Our secretary is Elder Jane Mutahi. I am John Geshero, the chair of that committee. Thank you.
Thank you. That work is now done and dusted, other than the one we dropped and the one that is you are going to polish. The work is done and dusted. For sure, you know that once the moderator's report resolution committee has worked, we don't do any additionals on the floor. So that work is done and dusted. Amen? A bigger amen? Thank you, thank you. Clap for them then.
Thank you, moderator. I propose that we now have the message to congregations committee do the presentation.
Message to congregation, the team that was dealing with that. Are you here? Elder Kareva, Reverend Vuli.
moderator and the assembly. I'll ask the team that was handling the message to all congregations to please stand. That's the team with which we've compiled this report. I'll ask them to sit, and I'll ask Elder Kariba to come and take us through the fast.
Thank you, Moderator Sir and the Assembly. This is a message drafted by the committee, message to all the congregations from the second GAC of the 24th General Assembly. Preamble. Grace and peace to you from God, our Father, and our Lord Jesus Christ. We, 135 commissioners and 7 delegates, gathered for the second General Administration Committee of the 24th General Assembly from 7th to 11th April 2026 in Starbucks Hotel, Eldoret Presbytery. We write to you in the joy of Easter season, that season of resurrection, renewal, and undying hope. It is in this spirit of celebration that the General Assembly Committee convened, proclaiming with full confidence the victory of our risen Savior. This gathering carries special historic weight. We mark 70 years since the convening of our first General Assembly in 1956, a milestone that calls us to gratitude and deep reflection on the faithfulness of God across the generations. We also honor the centenary of the ordination of our first African ministers, pioneers who answered God's call with courage and conviction, and upon whose shoulders we stand today. We give thanks to God for the journey so far, and we press on with renewed purpose. Number 2, ecumenical fellowship and guests. The gathering was graced by distinguished guests whose presence was a source of great encouragement. The governor of Uasin Gishu County and the deputy county commissioner, together with other political and administrative leaders, extended a warm welcome to our delegates. The assembly also received goodwill messages from the National Council of Churches of Kenya, NCCK, the Methodist Church of Kenya, the Reformed Church of East Africa, Compassion International, Family Bank, and other esteemed partners in mission. We were further moved to receive a goodwill message from our Presbyterian family in diaspora, a reminder that the bonds of this church extend far beyond our borders. We are grateful for all these expressions of fellowship and remain committed to working alongside all who share in the advancement of God's kingdom. Number 3, our calling, we will serve the Lord. The theme of the 24th General Assembly, we will serve the Lord, from Joshua 24:15, has been both a bold declaration and a searching examination of our lives together as a church. The General Assembly Committee affirms that true service to God is not confined to the pulpit. It must be seen and measured in the way we speak the truth, manage what has been entrusted to us, pursue justice, and conduct the affairs of the church with order and integrity. We urge every congregation and every institution of the church to remain firmly anchored in this assembly theme. Local initiative and emphasis are to flow from this shared calling, enriching it, never competing with it. let our unity of purpose be a testimony to the watching world. Number 4, worship and sacramental life. The General Assembly Committee is glad to report that the historic resolution to welcome back men who had been excluded from the Holy Communion due to unsolemnized marriages has been warmly and positively received across our congregations. The fruit of this decision is already evident. A renewed sense of belonging, increased participation in the sacraments, and growth in full church membership. We give thanks to God for this grace. We encourage congregations to continue using the existing liturgy for the admission and readmission as they accompany these brothers in their ongoing journey of faith. We also recognize that men need intentional discipleship. Men's fellowship is encouraged to develop a structured curriculum addressing responsible leadership, family life, mentorship, and personal integrity, equipping the men of our church to be godly husbands, fathers, and citizens. Church governance and integrity. The health of the church depends not only on the faith of our members, but on the integrity and orderliness of its leadership. The General Assembly Committee calls on all leaders at every level, from session to presbytery to assembly, to uphold the constitutional limits of their offices and practice genuine collective decision-making. We encourage all members, where disputes arise, to bring them before the established courts of the church rather than before secular courts. The church has been given wisdom and authority to resolve its own matters in a manner that honors God and preserves fellowship. Let us trust and use those instruments wisely. Number 6, stewardship, finances, and self-reliance. The GAC has noted with concern that a number of parishes have taken on loans without adequate feasibility assessment or clear payment plans. We call the church to commit to the spirit of jitegemea, that self-reliance, as both a practical discipline and a theological conviction. We are called to be stewards, not debtors. We celebrate the completion of our Kampala church and the acquisition of a plot in Arusha, all accomplished from internal resources without borrowing. This is the faith-driven stewardship we commend to every part of our church. All congregations are also encouraged to transition to cashless financial system, promoting transparency and accountability before God and one another. We are aware of the economic hardships many members face. We encourage everyone to live within their means and resist the pressure of debt. The church stands with you. Number 7, technology and administrative modernization. Faithful stewardship in the 21st century includes a wise use of technology. The General Assembly Committee encourages all churches to move towards integrated digital systems for membership management, financial reporting, asset tracking, and administration. We also encourage congregations and institutions to explore how artificial intelligence and other digital tools can support better planning, communication, and governance, always guided by wisdom, ethics, and the values of our faith. Modernizing our administration is not about abandoning who we are. It is about serving our mission more effectively and with greater accountability. Number 8, mission, evangelism, and holistic care. The church exists to proclaim the good news of Jesus Christ to every person and every community. We must never lose this heartbeat. The GAC affirms the importance of structured evangelism through crusades, door-to-door outreach, and community engagement. At the same time, we recognize that our mission must embrace the tools and platforms of our time. We encourage the creative and purposeful use of social media, digital platforms, the arts, the online services as avenues of bearing witness to the gospel. Our mission is also one of holistic care. We are mindful of the many burdens our people carry, mental health struggles, the trauma of floods, and other climate-related disruptions, and the economic effect of global instability. Congregations are encouraged to be proactive and compassionate in supporting those who are affected. Our faith must be seen not only in our worship, but in the care we extend to one another, youth, children, and the next generation. Our young people are not merely the future of the church. They are the church of today. The General Assembly Committee strongly encourages every congregation to nurture, invest in its youth through dedicated teen and youth services led by committed youth ministers. Beyond programs, we call for genuine and meaningful inclusion of young people in the leadership and governance of the church. Parishes that have ordained young elders are commended for this courageous step, and others are encouraged to follow this example with wisdom and intentionality. Let our young people know that they are seen, valued, trusted, and deeply needed in the body of Christ. Number 10, the church's prophetic voice in society. As our nation moves towards a 2027 general election, the church must be both non-partisan and prophetic. We will not be captive to any political party. We will never be silent in the face of injustice and injustice. We serve a God who cares deeply about our power, about how power is exercised and how vulnerable are treated. And that conviction compels us to speak. The church must turn its pastoral attention to the moral burdens weighing on our people, the disillusionment of our youth, road carnage and impunity, the corrosive effect of corruption, environmental neglect, and the weakening of civic responsibility. These are not merely political problems, they are spiritual ones, and the church has a word to speak and a role to play. We call every member to take personal responsibility. Change begins not only in the halls of government, it begins in our homes, our streets, and our hearts. I call upon the chairman to read the last and second. Thank you.
Number 11, civic responsibility and voter registration. The GAC encourages all members who have not yet done so to register as voters ahead of the 2027 elections. Participating in our democratic process is a form of responsible stewardship of the society God has placed us in. Congregations are encouraged to partner with the IEBC in local registration drives, especially to our young people. Teach them that their voice matters, their vote is their voice. A word of encouragement, dear brothers and sisters in Christ, this has been a year of genuine achievement and honest challenge. The evidence before us does not permit denial, but neither does it call for despair. It calls us to repentance where that is needed, to truthfulness in how we assess ourselves, to courage in pursuing reform, and above all, to renewed faithfulness in the service of our God. The 24th GAC, the 24th General Assembly is now in its final season. We look back on significant milestones accompanied together, and we look forward with hope and faith to all that lies ahead. The Church of Jesus Christ is not moved by the winds of politics, economic hardship, or social uncertainty. We are a people established on the rock of ages, called, equipped, and sent. Let us remain on our mission to teach our members, our communities, and our world with the transforming love and truth of the gospel. As for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. Signed by the moderator of the General Assembly and Secretary General. This is the report, draft report, for the message to all congregations, and I second the report.
Appreciate them. Okay, this is what will come to your churches on Sunday. So engage with it with that in mind. Correction? Yes.
In the whole report, I think they have misused the name General Administrative Committee, and they have called us the General Assembly Committee. So that correction should come from top to down. That's correction. 2, moderator, it has taken 14 minutes to read that. I would request at least, I have timed them. So if it's led by somebody who doesn't know good English, it will go 20 minutes in charge. They can compress it at least to 10 minutes because that's a whole sermon. So I don't think when we are reading it in church, we'll need to preach. We just need to read it and maybe leave the church. So they can compress it to about 10 minutes in terms of the words that are there. It's quite long.
Consider the length. It's very critical. Some people, when they start reading it, they sleep and wait until it is done. Of course, we want to communicate everything. But long as it is, it also need to factor that maybe the people out there, when they hear there is a GAC, GA, they may not know who are the leaders. It's good to remind them who are the leaders of the church, because that, again, will make people aware of where their church is. Okay, I see several hands. Elder Karanja.
Thank you, moderator. My concern is on Kampara Church. And since the funds to build the Kampara Church, they did not come from the mission department. Here we are saying it came from internal resources. Someone can ask out there, which internal resources are these? I'm suggesting, moderator, because it's a message to the congregations, whether we can say it came from the family bank after maybe what they give us back, so that we can encourage the other churches so that they can open accounts with the family bank. Again, we appreciate the Nairobi region because they were part of it. Thank you, moderator.
Okay, order please, order. The family bank did not do the building. It was done by our money. So we can only talk about our money, maybe remember Nairobi region, because it is part of the journey. But the money that we used is internally our own money. So we cannot go talking about other partners. Reverend Modoi, then Doria, then we'll come over. Okay, then Reverend Karanja. Okay. And be brief because I see several hands.
Yes, thank you, moderator. I'll be very brief. The preamble, introduction, the GAC which took place in, maybe they can consider saying Rift Valley region, Eldoret Presbytery, and in Starbuck Hotel. So that this is a historical document. Some people who may read in future may need to know where is Eldoret Presbytery. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll first deal with this row, then come to this one. Reverend Karanja, you had your hand up.
Thank you. First is to appreciate the committee for the good work. The report is intense. It has captured most of what would be of our interest. And now that we are trying to ask ourselves about the time that they have taken to read the report, and probably becomes our concern when it is being read to the congregation, and still we are adding some more points that we feel they are of importance, I would suggest we don't encourage them to condense, because they are likely to maybe miss some of those good things that we can hear. And maybe we would suggest let it come the way it is, and then we can encourage 2 Sundays reading. We have done that before, so that we capture everything. Instead of taking the whole 20 minutes or so, we encourage people when they receive it, they can make arrangement to have it read maybe twice. Thank you.
Abedolia.
Thank you, Moderator, Honorable Commissioners and Delegates. On item 2, if you could take me there. There is somewhere where you said that we received messages of goodwill from, you mentioned a few others, and then you classified others as and the other esteemed partners. Please mention St. Paul's University, and now, because you have put it at the other esteemed partners, and they move Family Bank in the other esteemed partners. Let the university, St. Paul's University, come and be noted. Then at the very last, near the end, there is the question where you are saying that we teach the youth. We must remember that the youth are part of our congregation. The very last, I can't remember, it was, let's go down up to where maybe the chairman came up to aha there. Especially to our young people. Teach them that their voice matters. We are not teaching them. They are in the congregation. They will be part of the people hearing this. So they will not wait to be taught. They should be told, your voice matters. I think the other issues have been raised by other members, other commissioners. Thank you, Moderator.
Thank you, Moderator. We commend the good work done by the ad hoc committee. But in the spirit of ecumenism and proper identity and name, we would rather register the Methodist Church in Kenya than the Methodist Church of Kenya. Because I think the true identity and naming is the Methodist Church in Kenya.
You are right. We cross over. There was a hand on this side. Leverage Ogona. Yes?
Thank you, Moderator. I also join others to commend the committee for the comprehensive message to the congregation. Now, Moderator, knowing that we are experiencing hard economic times, I only saw that point while we are concluding, and I thought it was be good. Well, I don't know which paragraph it will fit in, that we encourage our members and, bring a message that the church understand what the members are going through most when it comes to the economic hardship, other than having it come down as we conclude.
Pass the mic before you, ahead of you, to Elder.
Thank you, Moderator. I'm Harrison Mogai from Lemuru Presbytery. I'm concerned about item number 11, about civic education and registration. There is an item that was, or a message that was passed by the Electoral Boundary Commission about the registration of kujiandikisha kwa kura waliojiandikisha mwaka wa 2012. That statement is confusing the people, especially maybe because we are there on the ground. How will the church advise our people on that issue? Thank you.
I think the IBC corrected that and cleared that those who have already voted in previous elections can only check whether their status are still there, but they did not go to register. I think I had they gave that statement. Yes, so it is already settled. Us who have voted in previous elections need not go to register, but you can check on the status, on the safety, on the security of your presence in the roll of voters. Okay, we close over here. Dr. Karimi.
Moderator, thank you. We want to congratulate the team for coming up with a comprehensive document covering all areas that we would want to convey to the members. Previously, just a reminder to the committee, we have always interpreted the document into Swahili. However, moderator, having or being a minister in a rural setting, I wish we can also interpret the document into Kikuyu. We cannot run away from the fact that most of our members are more comfortable understanding the message in their native language. Thank you.
Thank you, moderator. I had three issues that has been said by Reverend Karimi. So the other one is the timing, because sometimes it takes so long, and therefore we do encourage us to ensure that it reaches the congregants on Sunday. And also under the preamble, the numbers, I think we talked about 135, but the other message, we talked about 137. So maybe we can check on the numbers in order for us not to contradict ourselves. Thank you, moderator.
Okay, harmonize the numbers with the press release so that you get the correct number. You have heard us. We want a shorter statement, but again, we want you to include what we have added. How you do it, we don't know. Yes, you have the skills to include what we have added, but at the same time, make it brief. So that is up to you. In regard to other versions, I don't know whether you would want additional people who may volunteer and say, I can help for Kiswahili, I can help for Kikuyu, I can help for Gishuka. Maybe. I don't know whether you have the skills to do that as a committee. Looking at your committee, do you think you have it? Or do we help you? AI will write it for them in Kikuyu and all those other languages. Do they have that skill? Hopefully they have it. Okay. Work with the level regard to. Okay. I guess that is all. Okay. Then we moved. Okay, clap for them as.
Moderator, I propose we now hear the Secretary General's report. And before you do that, moderator, there was an elder who had requested to do a presentation.
Is he here? I don't see him. He was seated somewhere here. Elder from Yamumbi. Dakilago? Is he here? I don't see him. I had seen him earlier. He was seated here, but... Oh, welcome and do a ireveta in half a minute. Give him a mic. He's a young man, so I'm sure he'll do it like a Gen Z.
Na wasalimu nyote katika jina la Yesu Kristo. Hamjambo. Jina langu naitwa James Kirago. Yesu aliniokoa mwaka wa 70 na akanidumisha katika wokovu kupitia kwa East African Revival Fellowship. Mimi nashukuru Mungu kutuletea GAC hapa kwetu. Na mimi nataka kuwaimbia wimbo moja ambayo inasema kudumu katika imani. Tuko hapa kwa ajili ya Yesu. Tuwe na mfano wa Yesu na tuige mfano wa Yesu. Na tusijichanganye. Kama mtoto anafanana na baba yake, hata na sisi tufanane na Yesu. Tu watoto wa Mungu wanaopendwa. Kama wana wa Mungu inatupasa kuwa mfano wake pote tulipo. Kuenenda alivyo enenda Yesu. Kama mwana huiga mzazi wake, katika kila tendo walitendalo, watu pia husema wanafanana. Kama baba hakika ndivyo na mwana. Na mimi najiuliza moyoni mwangu, najiuliza nini? Kukasa mwendo wako kwa Yesu Bwana, hadi maisha yangu yatambulike, yanavyomuonesha Yesu Mwokozi wangu. Na wewe nje ukiwa mwana halali, mbona wajichanganya na ulimwengu, upate kufanana na sura yake, mitindo yake yote isikupite. Kama mwana huiga mzazi wake, katika kila tendo walitendalo, watu pia husema wanafanana. Kama baba hakika ndivyo na mwana. Na mimi nimeazimu moyoni mwangu, kukaza macho yangu kwa Bwana Yesu, hadi maisha yangu yatambulike, yanamuakisia Mwokozi wangu. Wokovu si maneno mengi matupu, wokovu ni kuwasha taa ya Yesu, kutubu na kutengeneza maisha. Si ndivyo? Kutubu na kutengeneza. Hatimaye mpendwa, nataka onyo, katu ya uasherati sitanjwe kwako, kambali kabisa na sura yake, usiukaribie mlango wake. Kama mwana huiga mzazi wake, katika kila tendo walitendalo, watu pia husema wanafanana. Kama baba hakika ndivyo na mwana. Na mimi nimeazimu, tuazimu zote. Na mimi nimeazimu moyoni wangu, kukasa macho yangu kwa Yesu Bwana, hadi maisha yangu yatambulike, yanamuakisia Mwokozi wangu.
Asante sana Elda Kirago, asante sana kwa huo wimbo wenye mafunzo mazuri sana. He tells me he is only 92 and so he was almost born when the first African ministers were ordained. He was just about to be born. So he is a rich man in many ways. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Moderators are following my first presentation of my report. This is the second presentation of the same report, having expunged several areas which the business committee felt we needed to expurge. This is the second GAC of the 24th General Assembly, and we thank God because He has continually led us through as we serve Him and humanity. Moderator, my fellow commissioners, fathers in God, our partners and friends, the Presbyterian Church of East Africa is now 134 years old, and we thank God for His great faithfulness. In the early days, we only had our church in Kikuyu and in Maryland. The Lord has seen us spread to East Africa and also partnering with church in Congo and Burundi and also in the diaspora where our members have migrated to. In the recent past, the world has encountered many challenges and the church has not been left out. As we recover from the COVID-19 aftermath, we would like to thank God for such tremendous growth that we have experienced. Globally, organizations have been faced with restructuring or trying to stabilize. The church has also been affected by the Russia and Ukraine war and the American and the Iranian war, which has spilled over and affecting many other countries. However, the church has remained steadfast, and we would like to thank God for His faithfulness so far. We have over 61 presbyteries with 4 or 6 parishes, 16 outreaches, and 41 mission areas. We have a total of 2,000.
And the covenant between the church and the bank corrupted us. I would say that we lack the goodwill to project, and this has caused the church huge losses and led to us being put under receivership. Though we have not given up on it, it is an issue of great concern as it is affecting the entire church, and we shall overcome this one day. I also wish to express my concern on what the 22nd General Assembly saw on the establishment of the proposal for Eastern Presbytery in commemoration of PCA 120 years and a sign of taking back PCA mission to where it started as PCA, which we embarked on finalizing in the 24th General Assembly. Even after doing all that, who the General Assembly had given as the roadmap, mobilizing of the presbytery concerned, and even putting up an ultra-modern office block for the proposed for Eastern Presbytery has not, the proposed for Eastern Presbytery has not been finalized. It is my prayer that the business committee will revisit the matter and process it to conclusion. The other issue is the amendment of the practice and procedure manual, which is our constitution. We all agree that our current practice and procedure needed some amendments, and this was diligently done by a select committee during the 23rd General Assembly under a close supervision of the then Business Committee. At the last 12, the exercise during the General Assembly, the same was not concluded, and so it is my wish that the Practice and Procedure Review Committee be supported and revive the process to its logical conclusion. I wish to express my concern as during the 23rd and 24th General Assemblies, we have witnessed one of the worst indiscipline in the church, a new culture of abuses, character assassinations, lies, and gross misconduct have been the new norm in the church. This has degraded our good church in a big way and caused it ridicule, mistrust, and disunity. I call upon all of us to be careful, as this is a very dangerous trajectory which can destroy our great institution. It is my call that we all take this seriously, as this is not the responsibility of the head office alone, but the duty of all the presbyteries and every person individually. The life of this General Assembly has witnessed more dedications of churches and investments in the presbyteries more than any other General Assembly. I want to thank the presbyteries, parishes, and congregations who have been able to do those projects, and also the Outreach Foundation, whom we have partnered in some of them. Another thing of concern is that true unity as the office of the General Assembly has not been adequately demonstrated, and this has affected our Christian witness in a big way. We have washed our dirty linen in the public. Social media teams who are speaking on our behalf have sprung up and are being used to say what we wish to say about each other. And this has divided us further and to a great extent divided the church. The other thing of great concern is that though we have not taken any loan from bank since we assumed office, the loans we found have grown during our tenure to over 1 billion shillings due to our misunderstandings, interferences, missteps, poor or lack of strategy, or bad judgments. It is my prayer that the office which will succeed us will discover the power of unity, focus, and courage to be able to handle this. This does not mean that we have given up as the office of the 24th General Assembly, as we will try to do our best through God's grace and to see what we can do within the little time remaining. Having said that, I wish to state the following. Church mission. The church exists to do mission, as we all know. We have an internal mission and external mission. We thank God for the approach we took of incorporating the mission area ministers into the pillar of the head office, and this has helped those ministers to at least have comfort while serving in those areas. We also want to thank the various presbyteries which have been taking care of these mission areas and ensured their continued growth. We should also not forget the internal mission, as even our traditional Presbyterian stronghold are now experiencing a membership decline due to many factors. We need to have a clear strategy, especially to the youth and children. We should take advantage of using our schools as our mission ground and not shy off from missioning the next generation through those schools, and even have a way of creating mission partnerships as PCA with private schools in our areas. As a church, the issue of catechism needs to be taken seriously, and we have young people who are in the church, but they know nothing about their faith and their church,
and hence the many problems we are having with them. The issue of crash catechism programs should be discouraged, as this is failing our mission in a big way. We should know how to take them through a given program for not less than 1 year. On our membership, especially those young people, we need to sincerely think of quality as opposed to quantity only, and this should be our mission. Then, as we have said before, PCA Church needs to take seriously our mission to our young people at the universities and other colleges. This is a stage at which we are losing our children either to the world, other denominations, or other religions or cults. Time to do whatever we can to see a structured ministry among the young people in those institutions is long overdue. We cannot afford to sit pretty while losing our youth because we lack a targeted mission strategy to them. We also need to leverage the use of technology to effectively reach out to them. For external mission, the church should focus on employing and empowering evangelists from various communities. The advantage with evangelist empowerment is that, unlike the ministers who are recruited from those communities and who are then transferred to other areas without necessarily impacting the particular community they come from, the evangelists stay with that community. Hence, the impact of good evangelists can be greater. For this reason, a good mission budget and strategy should be put in place to help in this external mission. Another great opportunity for the mission of the church is the tent-making ministry. We need to grow this ministry and ensure that we have more professionals with a true call get recruited into the ministry, especially in areas where there are not enough ministers. On this, special consideration to teachers for tent-making ministry should be a top priority, as this will help us a great deal in our mission to those areas. However, we should also not forget tent-making ministry in other areas like the disciplined forces and other institutions where mission is required. The other area we need to be very keen about for effective mission is chaplaincy. We are doing okay in their training, but the ministry still remains minimum. We are supposed to consider chaplaincy to all our institutions, especially schools, airports, hospitals, disciplined forces, colleges, and also in the judiciary. We must give this ministry the honor and respect it deserves. We need to see how we can even engage the laity in this very important ministry of chaplaincy. Finally, the church needs to continue networking with other churches around the world for effective mission. We wish to take notice of the current engagement with our sister churches in USA, UK, and Canada, especially those of the PCA immigrants and others, as guided by the business committee, and call for stronger structures to guide the same as the church becomes more global. Church administration and leadership. The leadership of the PCA church should be anchored on the practice and procedure. Any diversion from the same will always be disastrous to the church. This laid down church administrative structure and processes should be respected by all. No one should have the privilege of choosing when to follow the Constitution and when not to. The following are some notable issues I would highlight either as recommendations or as useful information offered the administration. 1, the director's removal from the head office. It is good and healthy practice to have senior church leadership serve for a defined time on contractual basis. This would help the church grow through changes and diversity. However, the recent removal of all the directors from the department was a long administrative act. The department which has suffered greatly is the education department,
which is very complicated as it involves a web of stakeholders outside the church. Already, we have started losing the gains we had achieved in having full control of our schools. In future, this particular department should always have a deputy director serving under the director who would be conversant with the operations and the art of this department so that we don't lose as we have done this time round. I, however, want to thank the Deputy Secretary General who has been handling all these vacant departments and nothing has stalled. On this same note, we wish we need to have all those heading, all the departments be given contracts so that we don't have a situation as this one and have a resort-oriented leadership. Also, we should not have some HODs serving on contracts and others serving on permanent basis. A clear appraisal of those serving as HODs should be made by the Deputy Secretary General should there be need for any contract renewal of those already serving. 2, the need for an official personal assistant for moderator and the Secretary General. These 2 offices require an official personal assistant. This will help the 2 General Assembly officers to make sound decisions and also help in their research work in order for them to make meaningful statements and presentations. Without an official PA in these offices, and knowing how busy the offices are, the role is taken up by some long individuals who are not answerable to the church, and they in many cases misadvise the 2G officers due to their self-interest and many times causing the offices to be demeaned and ridiculed. I still recommend that in case of any differences in the office of the General Assembly, the church to authorize that we have an officially recognized and commissioned committee of the church fathers, senior ministers, elders, and professionals with a background of dispute resolution and counseling who would be able to officially sit them down and arbitrate the issues causing the differences. The forensic audit. We did a forensic audit for the church. This was a good thing. However, in future, such acts should be done in good faith and for the right intentions through the right church procedure and within the required legal parameters. The Family Bank Partnership. We have had this partnership for slightly over 2 years now. Despite the internal challenges where most of us, our presbytery and parishes became skeptical and never opened the account, the partnership has been very beneficial to the church. Several other churches have started similar partnership with the same bank. Though the accounts we keep with the Family Bank are minimal compared to the overall number of bank accounts, Family Bank gave us a dividend of 57 million before tax for the period of June 2022 to April 2025. The business committee agreed that the money be divided on 50-50 basis and some be posted back to the respective account holders and the other 50% be deposited in the central account. In this accounting year, the treasury bills fell by almost 2/3, but the bank was still able to give us a dividend to a tune of 13 million, and the bank is waiting for the guidance of the business committee on whether to deposit the money to the central account or divide it as they did last year. The plan of this partnership was that if we all joined the bank, instead of having our money work with other banks, which does not give us that much interest, we build a fund where the churches would be borrowing the same money at a reasonable interest rate of maybe 7% for development, and this could have helped us spur our mission work in a big way. This dream is still far, and I call upon us to see this opportunity. Our common deposit could have been given us an opportunity of even owning a stake in the bank, but again, we lost the opportunity when the bank floated its shares and asked us to buy and became part of the owners, but it was hard to make the decision and as a church, we lost the opportunity. From the said dividend, we have been able to construct on one of the best churches in Kampala City in collaboration with the Nairobi region. We have also been able to buy a prime plot in Arusha town in Tanzania, and we are planning to use the same money towards the construction of the church. Presbyteries and parishes. The actual leadership of our churches in the presbyteries and parishes. I urge them to show leadership. They should be decisive and bold in tackling issues within their jurisdiction without allowing outside interference, so long as they are acting within the Constitution and on principles of justice and fairness. There is an emerging and unacceptable pattern of individuals and even church bodies seeking to interrogate, review, and challenge the proceedings of other presbyteries, often on the basis of misinformation or matters not properly placed before them. This is inconsistent with the Presbyterian order and is expressly prohibited in Article 937 of the Practice and Procedure, which provides that a presbytery cannot interfere with or refute the proceedings of another presbytery. Where one presbytery or an individual within the presbytery feels aggrieved by the action of another, the proper procedure is not public commentary or informal intervention, but a cautious protest addressed to the presbytery concerned, followed by friendly consultation. Only when such consultation fails may the matter be escalated through the business committee to the General Assembly or the GAC for arbitration. Any departure from this order undermines discipline, fuels confusion, and weakens the unity of the church. It should stop forthwith. We must be Presbyterians, not only in name, but also in the process and conduct. There are fraternos in the presbyteries and parishes for ministers, elders, and spouses. As per the 20th General Assembly, which allowed their formations, we wish to restate what was said, that fraternos were in no way allowed to interfere with policy issues. The said 20th General Assembly said that, and I quote, fraternos can be used to share their pains or painful experiences, ministerial shocks, stress or depressing matters, hardship, fears, and needs. It also says that the purpose of the fraternos is to talk and express burning feelings, comfort each other, encourage each other, uplift each other, consult each other, admonish each other, learn from each other, forgive each other, share burdens, submit to each other, and accept each other. It was categorically explained that they were not for policy or administrative matters. This position should be maintained. GAC dockets and printing. Formerly, we used to print docket for everyone in attendance. Then it was agreed that to save in cost and for convenience, we'd be having them in soft copies. We are still incurring heavy cost in printing the few dockets we print. I would propose that we stop printing the dockets and make them soft. The Office of the Secretary General should be mandated to prepare, organize, and keep a properly labeled and well-documented archival album, together with at least 2 flash disks having the full electronic docket. This will significantly reduce the printing cost, minimize the burden of bulky physical documentation, and ease storage challenges. Copies of the flash disk should be provided to all the past moderators and such other persons as may be duly authorized to receive the docket. Ecumenical engagement. PCA is still party to several ecumenical bodies, both locally and internationally. It is notable that we have started taking more meaningful laws in those bodies. We wish to take special cognizance of Reverend Dr. Elias Agora, who was elected as the chair of the NCCK. We also wish to recognize Reverend Pauline Kanuzu, who is now an executive member of the African Communion of Reformed Churches. We also recognize Reverend Johannes Owino, who was also elected to the executive of World Communion of Churches. We also wish to report that in October 2025, during the WCRC General Assembly in Thailand, I was elected in the executive of the World Communion of Reformed Churches, which is a great honor to the PCA Church. With this election, we agreed that the ACRC executive be part of the WCRC executive, and they will hold their executive meeting here in Nairobi at Mirere Hotel, which means some good business to our hotel, and this will happen in May 2026. Other meaningful new ecumenical engagements include ECO Church. This is the newest and the strongest and the fastest growing Presbyterian or Reformed church in the USA. They split from the PCUSA in 2012 over their stand on opposing the agenda of LGBTQ and against their ordination. They are behind some of the mission support like the Mother Esther School in Kajiado, the recent support of about 22 million to PCA Nanyuki, and we are in discussion on more partnership engagement. During their General Assembly convened in Atlanta, Georgia in February this year, I had the honor of being invited as a keynote speaker and to participate in discussions on missions engagement, where we agreed that their next conference equivalent to GAC, which is happening in February next year, will be held at Mirere Hotel, Nairobi. The theme will be mission engagement with church in Africa. This is a historic thing and a golden opportunity for us as PCEA. We need to make the full use of it, and prior to that, the executive equivalent to our business committee drawn from all over USA will be holding their meeting at Milele, Nairobi in October 2026. Let us make use of these partnerships. It is good to note that our partnership with the PCUSA, despite them having the challenges they are having, remains, although they are in no way supposed to influence us with their doctrine. WCRC. The WCRC, which is the World Communion of Reformed Churches, held their General Assembly in October 2025. As I have indicated earlier, I was elected as an executive member, a position which I'll hold for the next 7 years. It is unfortunate that during their assembly, they passed a resolution to accommodate the LGBTQ community. We, the African Church, protested and registered our dissent and threatened to leave the communion altogether. I'm glad to report that we have persisted in our push to object this, and we have been able to reverse this resolution and was shelved for further deliberations, as the dissent by the African Church meant we did not have any consensus. We will continue to fight for the truth, justice, and biblical principles. Johnny and friends, we thank God that we have the Johnny and friends as our partners, and who were introduced to us by Hardin Simmons University in Texas, and we signed a partnership covenant in California, USA, where their headquarters are. This partnership has greatly grown. These partners have proved to be some of the most impactful since the signing of this partnership with them. They have supplied thousands and thousands of very modern and personalized wheelchairs and other gadgets for the differently abled, given consistent training to our people, and as PCA, we need to continue nurturing this partnership, both schools. We thank God for this mission support, where we have been able to receive from the Booth Foundation. The initial plan of constructing the schools was to build at least 13 high-class and affordable schools for the lower and middle-class children. We have been able to build several schools, but all the schools are concentrated in the Nairobi region. Going forward, I would recommend that we ensure that each region benefits with at least one school, but the regions are notified that they are the ones to get land, as the cost of the school does not include buying of the land. Further, since we have kind of lost 3 schools to the government, no both school should be built on public land or unregistered land. Finally, for the management of these schools, I would propose that we register the both group of schools with a competitive and professional committee under the Christian Education and Mission and BSR department, so that we don't lose the vision of establishment of the schools. I, however, urge our church leaders to stop careless communication to our partners, as these can really harm the same partnerships we are trying to nurture, as we have seen severally. We have had cases where people have written to Booth Foundation alleging that we have embezzled the school's construction money and almost damaging this partnership. This is bad. We should be open to more meaningful partnership, for we shall not grow in isolation. Medical Benevolent Foundation. We wish to thank God for this very key partnership. They have been helping us in upgrading our hospitals and doing very heavy capital inputs in terms of constructions and nursing training support. They have helped us to redo the master planning of our hospitals and several other programs. The key project which they are now supporting is the establishment of the Lumuruti Hospital, which will be the 4th mission hospital and our first one in the Rift Valley region. The project has started small, and the MBA president, who has visited the site severally, has failed to see the project completed. This will definitely be counted as a big achievement for our church, and we pray that we support and pray for this. Church discipline, ethics, and etiquette. I wish to remind all of us that our church is anchored on discipline. If we lose our historical cultural discipline, we lose our church. We need to defend our institutional discipline, which defines how we do our things. We also need to defend our personal discipline, which defines how we talk and behave, as this is what helps people to interpret the PCA church. We must, as Presbyterians, also defend and uphold our social discipline, which governs our conduct in society, and particularly in the way we behave, speak, and handle matters within the church and in the public sphere. Due to our indiscipline, we have lost our ethos and end up looking like just worldly people without etiquette and who deserve no honor from the society, for we are even worse than them. It really concerns me when many people complain about the PCA indiscipline, especially from some of our ministers and elders, and they always ask me, what are you doing about it? Common basic decency calls for us to respect each other. I have seen extreme cases where ministers are abusing other ministers in a very bad way. This is not PCA. The many lies and propaganda from the same people with a clear intent of destroying those they perceive as their enemies is a level which would worry anyone who cares for this church. We must do something about this indiscipline as good stewards and never protect this destructive culture. Social media misuse. I wish to go on record that since my first report to the GAC, also to the GA, I have raised concerns against the misuse of the social media. I've even been called a social media crybaby. The same has continued to be misused and now being taken as a tool to manage the church and pushing every agenda through the back door. Document mainly from the head office, particularly during the 24th General Assembly, flying all over the social media. I have been provoked so that I go to court, and I want to state here that I'm not taking that direction, despite having the right and a good reason to. I cannot stoop that low, but I strongly call upon the presbyteries to show leadership in this area and ensure that the members within the presbyteries are disciplined in their social media usage and stop scandalizing the church. Finally, I wish to express my fear as now I've seen the same people now pushing their self-interest through the bloggers. I wish to say that this is now completely unacceptable, and this direction should be stopped before it grows further. This will be the last straw to break our church. It is my prayer that we shall discern the gravity of this damage and find the courage to make a clear and principled resolution on the matter, however painful it may be for us. Presbyterian University of East Africa. We thank God for this great vision of us having a good university. We have a duty of defending and supporting this institution and not allow it to die. We must be concerned of what is happening there and not detach ourselves from it. We must ensure that in both the Government Council and the BOT, we have people who are serving our interest as a church, people who know and appreciate the vision of our fathers, like the late Reverend Dr. John Gatto, who kept talking about the poor being the Harvard of Africa. We must ensure that we praise people who are not our competitors or with any conflict of interest as far as university matters are concerned. We must have people who respect us as Presbyterians. This is the only way we can have our institution grow. It is heartening to see our theological students who are sponsored by the church being denied food, saying that we have not paid the fees in full, at a time when we have praised a standing order for the same and are clearing old arrears, and the pain of us having to write letters begging for them to be allowed to eat at our university is unacceptable. We have even denied those who graduated their certificates and knowing very well that it is not them who will pay. On another case, the business committee directed that those PCA ministers who are teaching at the university be made adjunct professors as a way of staff and leadership development, as other universities are doing. But the University Council, without any explanation or even response to the business committee, rejected this. They have now said that going forward, our theological education, by extension TE graduate, will not be done during our university graduations. This university is a Presbyterian university. I have never seen the council leadership taking time to at least consult with the church before such drastic measures. But if the university falls, the church will be blamed. Legal matters in the church. The legal matters for the church continue to increase and become more expensive and complex. I call upon the church to think on how best to handle these issues, other than thinking like they should be pro bono and cheap. Our church institution has continued to change and become more complex, but unfortunately we are still trying to handle these complex legal issues from only religious perspective, which cannot work. I hereby challenge the legal department to understand the shift and explain it to the church through church civic education, and they also be more committed so that they be fully aware of their responsibilities and ensure that we stop losing our legal ground as a church through losing cases, poor cooperation with presbyteries, delaying decisions, cheap politics, slow movement of matters in our offices, and unconcernedness about our church property. The church needs to know that this department is now extremely crucial, and it needs our full support, especially financially, for them to function effectively. But their work must be seen and felt. We have been losing cases either in court or through our legal processes, which are not yielding any success, and this trend must be checked. Also, proper legal advice should be given at all times before some court actions are taken. Ministers and elders' retirement. On this issue, the practice and procedure manual is very categorical. The concept of retirement has bothered many, whereas it is feel like the end of one's usefulness. This is an act where an older person steps aside and does not step away. That is giving up the active day-to-day leadership, but always available for consultation and advice. The retirement of ministers and elders is 65 years. All should note that there is no room for choosing whether or not to retire once they attain this age. According to the Practice and Procedure, Article 12:27, it states that though an elder is ordained for life, experience has shown that as age advances, a reduced capacity for positive effectiveness begins to show up. The General Assembly has therefore ruled that elders should retire from the pastoral concerns of elders districts after attaining 65 years of age. Should the session see any justifiable reason for further extension, permission shall be sought from the presbytery. After such retirement, the elder can attend session meetings at will, but not as a representative of any district. The act of retirement shall be held in a way and in such a manner that shall safeguard the honor of that office. This rule does not provide for any exception. New ministers' wedding licenses. We have been having a problem with the licensing of the new ministers to perform weddings. This has been occasioned by our records at the Registrar of Societies, where they were last updated during the 19th General Assembly, where the very Reverend David Gadaju, Reverend Festus Gitonga, Elder Amon Derry, and the current moderator, Right Reverend Thego Mutahi, were in for office. They are the only ones who can sign the necessary document to effect the changes to comply with the law. For them to sign now to effect the changes, they must sign right there current officers of the General Assembly, and this authority can only be given by this court or the General Assembly, and hence this request. We have over 60 ministers in parishes and institutions who cannot be allowed to officiate a church wedding due to this. Church property. We need to safeguard the property of this church no matter what. I've been castigated on several occasions and on several issues, but my position has always been that selling any church property should be our last option. I will shrink from defending any church property. I will not shrink from defending any church property that is at risk of being unlawfully taken, or where attempts are made to dress up an irregular process as though it were proper. I also appeal to us all to stop defending or prosecuting matters we do not clearly understand, and to reject falsehood and incitement. This populism is wrong. I wish to mention 3 issues at hand for clarity and record. 1, Mirere Nakuru Hotel. Mirere Nakuru Hotel had financial issues. The main cause of the problem was from the head office due to the compliance issues of the PIN they were using. This is the head office PIN. And they had tried to pursue the matter with the legal officer with no success. This meant corporate bodies and governments stopped giving them business, and they had a huge loan. As we know, the location of our hotel is not a hotel to rely on walk-in customers and is heavily reliant on corporate customers. Then the returns went down and the idea of disposal was floated. It was at this quagmire that I was called by one permanent secretary who told me that he understood we had a problem with our hotel, and he thought he had a possible solution. He told me that the company which was constructing the Lironi to Mau Summit Road wanted a hotel where they would rent as an exclusive hotel for their use and make it their operating base, and they were paying very well. I told him we would be interested in meeting the person renting, so that I would be interested in meeting the person renting so that I don't give unclear information, and he organized our meeting. After the meeting, I was convinced that this was a good solution to save the hotel. Then I called the management or committee and explained to them, and they said it was a good deal. Then I called the leadership of the two presbyteries and explained to them, and they agreed that it was a good deal. We have finalized the matter, and the hotel is now safe. Evangelism mission track. Though this issue does not fall under my docket, as it was a race training issue, on several occasions it has been mentioned by the social media team to malign my name. The money to buy the truck was raised by evangelists during the 22nd General Assembly long before we came into the office, and the person who was contracted to deliver the truck never delivered. Upon assuming office, I tried to follow up the matter, and when I realized that we were being taken loud in circles, we took the matter to the business committee, and we have so far taken the person to court. I must be sincere here and say that I'm not happy with the speed and the seriousness the PCA legal office has been taking this matter, knowing the magnitude and the issue of the issue and its implications. Kaboi Presbytery plot. This matter was brought to the attention of my office again concerning two plots that belong to Kaboi and Nyaga parishes at the Kaboi Presbytery. The plots were under threat of being converted to private use, and the matter had been taken to DCI. Actually, it is the DCI which wrote to me. The business committee assigned the SG's office to follow up on the matters of the titles. I am happy to report that title deeds have since been issued and registered with the ADISASA, which can be checked because it was said that the titles were fake. The concerned parish sessions have already physically visited the plot and confirmed the existence of the same. Any other information circulating is untrue. Family ethos and values. We need to be careful on how we handle our families, always remembering that this is the first church. If we fail to safeguard our families, our witness as a church will be destroyed. It is sad how we have normalized family separations, especially as church leaders. The saddest part is how we are now working hard to normalize the issue of divorce between man and a wife, especially again within the church leaders. I wish to bring to your attention that our practice and procedure manual is very clear on the issue of divorce as it is in Article 15, 44 and 51. If we succeed in normalizing divorce and change the Constitution through operationalization, then we will have succeeded in destroying our church. We should adhere to the biblical instructions as it is in the book of 1 Timothy 3:2, and it is quoted down there. Let us walk carefully as the world is watching us. Honorary degrees. Let us discourage this culture of taking shortcuts on academic matters. PCN is known of its position on education. Since this culture has started taking root in PCA, we should call upon our people not to be attracted to it, as it has already started causing ridicule amongst our clergy, where many are now asking whether our title, the title Doctor of so-and-so, is honorary or a real one. Our academic rig is that of the Catholic Church or the Anglican Church, which don't allow such. Let us keep our rig. Let us discourage this by all means. Much as one might feel like it is one's right, we need to remind ourselves that we must remind ourselves that one must first notify the training committee through his presbytery that they have commenced studies in either master's or PhD, and upon completion, the same process must be followed. Data protection law. The manner in which we are currently handling personal data in the church is increasingly risky and exposes both individual office bearers and the institution to a serious legal consequences. The law has significantly changed. The Data Protection Act 2019, which gives effect to the right to privacy under Article 31 of the Constitution of Kenya, together with the regulations made at the rate, now imposes a clear obligation on all persons and bodies handling personal data. In light of this, I charge the legal department again, in conjunction with the relevant administrative offices, to audit committees at all levels of our church to prepare and implement a church-wide data protection compliance framework, including a legal advisory write-up, a policy, a reader training, data handling protocols, and an institutional compliance plan for all church organs and institutions before the church is exposed to avoidable complaints, penalties, and litigations. In conclusion, Moderator, I call upon all of us to reflect and actualize Isaiah 1:18, which calls us to sit and listen together. Let us put our interests aside and care for our church. Let us be truthful, as this is the language of God. Let us shine lights and love each other. Let us build our church, which is our inheritance, for the short time God has given us. Long live PCA. Amen. That is my report, Moderator.
Okay, we appreciate. You remember this report was presented, then I requested and you concurred that we take it to another level. It went to that level and another level, and we agreed now it should come back. And you remember one of my concerns is what the report says, that we shouldn't wash our dirty linen in public. And I felt if we started engaging with the report, we might wash our dirty linen in public. So I was just obeying the philosophy in the report. Well, I still have a few concerns about, because even as we agreed about what should be expunged, I still have some concerns. I may not want to list all of them here, but I'm a bit disturbed when the report says that without official PA in our offices, the role has been taken up by some wrong individuals who are not answerable to the church, and they are in many cases misadvising us, the two GA officials, due to their self-interest, and many times causing the offices to be demeaned and ridiculed. One can only talk about the office. From where I sit and serve, I listen to all people. But eventually, what I do comes from me. I'm sure there are people who even make fun of me and say, Vego advises, Vego. There's such a mantra that Vego advises Vego. So when someone puts into a report that my office has that problem, it doesn't have that problem. And those are the kind of things I was avoiding. And that's why I had said we switch off the cameras. Because you cannot speak for me and say what I'm going through when I've not shared with you, and purport that that is the position of the two offices. I am not suffering from that problem myself. Those are the kind of things, brethren, I was avoiding. Of course, a number of things have been expunged, which is good, but that was my concern. I do not want us to have tension in the church as much as we can. And I'm happy that the way we started when we were at Langas, people are very happy about what we did on that day. Again, through the reports that we have gone this far, we have experienced a lot of tranquility. I don't want us to create tension in the church. And that's why I was avoiding that back and forth. However, because it has still come forth, well, sitaki kusema kama wale wa community inasema ati mshahara wa usiku unarudishiwa mahali umetokea. It isn't a very good thing. But those are the kind of things I was trying to avoid. That we don't antagonize one another, that we do not set tension in the church, and many other things that I do not want to really talk about. Directors, that was the decision of a full committee, and the SG is a member. He may have had views that were different, but the committee minuted what it did. And we are all subject to what committees decide. The University Council, how did it fall from the heavens? No. It was constituted by the Board of Trustees, and the Secretary General is the Secretary. And that council has been renewed a year ago by his pen. So then when we point fingers at them that there are people who are there who have no interest of the church, who are doing all manner of things, we are antagonizing ourselves. Those are the kind of things I wanted to avoid. But now, because in our ears, sometimes when you want to avoid them, you still find yourself there. I say this with a lot of restraint because I didn't want us to get there. And that's why I had asked that cameras be switched off, that we have a category A. That is what I was trying to avoid. We did considerably reduce, but there are still those elements that are again going to the people without the position on the other side. Because maybe we would also want to hear the council saying the decisions they have made. Now they are accused, and they have not defended themselves to know whether what is being said is true about them. Brethren, we had moved with a lot of tranquility, and I would wish that even now as we get to the close of this GAC, that we end up in a spirit of tranquility. People are watching us. They want us to give them hope, even when we have our own pains. Brethren, if I was also to list my pains, it would be chronicles. You remember I went to court. The documents used by the lawyer of the accuser were documents from our church. That is the documents he was using, the accuser. So if I was to also list my pains, we would spend all our time narrating our pains. And that's why the Lord in his goodness in Easter told me that Jesus also did not talk about his pains after resurrection. He focused on quality for the 40 days. We have 40 days until the 25th General Assembly. If we focus on our pain, we will not deliver. Jesus would have taken time to ask for compensation, to charge those who had betrayed him, but after resurrection, he hit the ground running. That is the message God gave me for the Easter period, that if I focus on my pain and my agony, I'll bring down this church. That's my preamble as we engage with that report. And I regret that I have to say it here when everybody in the world is watching. And that's why initially I had said, let this report be tackled at another level. However, now that we had agreed yesterday it comes, but still retains some of those offensive statements, I have felt like I can't remain also quiet when I also know the truth. And I have it. Anyway, Christ rose from the dead and said, peace. Let's enjoy peace. Amen? So now, we engage the report now in terms of questions, in terms of comments. You have a question? Okay.
Thank you, Moderator. And we, as an assembly, understand the pain that you may be going through. But we have, and it is in the report of the SG that our PP needs to be reviewed. Before we went to closed court, I quoted the PP that said the Secretary General is free to write anything in his report without reference to the business committee. And that becomes a problem. That becomes a problem. Because when I read the word anything, it means he can even insult us. However, when we were going through the devotion, Moderator, the devotion told us that we are free to listen or hear what we have to hear. I think there are some things that in the interest of the unity and the peace in the church, we might want to just ignore, because we are, again, given an opportunity to digest the report of the Secretary General so that we can reject or accept some of the resolutions. I understand your pain, but at the same time, the PP has given him the leeway, the freedom to just write anything. So it's for us now to digest the report. Or we start by reviewing the PP so that it goes back to the business before it comes here. Thank you, Moderator.
Thank you. I take your comments. There's a blank check, but let us use it responsibly. Because no one comes to this office having not been vetted as to who they are. So even with a blank check, we need to not hurt one another unnecessarily. Okay, then we allow questions. Are there questions? Yes, Reverend Jogona?
Thank you, Moderator, and the GAC commissioners and delegates who are here. I have followed the report, and I felt I have a concern that I need to raise, maybe in form of a question concerning the legal office. Thrice, the legal office has been mentioned, one, under the legal matters in the church, secondly, under mission track, and number 3, under data protection. And I wanted to ask, Moderator, whether we have a problem with our legal office, either in terms of laxity, incompetence, or not doing what the legal officer is supposed to do, or the department is supposed to do, so that the church may not get into any trouble because it is not well legally advised. Thank you.
Any other question? At the back there.
Thank you, Moderator and the GSC. I wanted to request whether the SG can consider changing the heading from amendment of the report to the report, because the other one was not taken, so that it is this one. Also, there is somebody watching online and is saying that we need to correct on the ecumenical part, whether you can consider looking at I think Reverend Johannes is a member of WCC, and it's written something about communion, is about council, and then the committees that he works in. I think DSG can give the data on the real issue.
Okay, no other question, answers?
Thank you. The legal office. If you followed the report, I cited two things. Number one, it is about the underfunding of the department, whereby it is not able to maximize its operation. However, I would not say that I have a problem with them personally, but the speed of their operation, I have an issue. Their speed of operation is an issue. But we have a responsibility. For instance, we passed that we all support the department with 100,000, which has not come forth. And the workload in the department continues to grow by day. So much as, again, I may say this, they are not operating well, I might be told we are not properly funded. So the two goes together. However, the need to work smarter as far as the legal department is concerned. I agree, we can change the heading to amended report. However, I have a constitutional problem whether it is allowable within the Constitution. So because the PP says the report of the Secretary General, but if we agree here, and I have an issue with the Constitution, that we call it the amended, then we can do that, but it will not reflect what it is there in the report. About Johannes Owino, his actual position can, the council, it is the council, not the executive, it is the council, so that that collection is taken. It was a typo because most of those others mentioned went to executive.
Comments? Labradoria?
Thank you, moderator and honorable commissioners and delegates. I would want to start with that last matter as a comment. That legal matters take quite a while, and I have been an interested person on the track, and I can tell that the matter I have just Googled, the matter was filed 2 years ago. So we should not imagine that it is going to land faster than that. Your own matter, the matters affecting the officers of the General Assembly, have taken 2 years before it was resoluted. So, and that was a civil matter faster. So criminal matters take longer. On the other issue is that on the question of marriage, at least on the question of, there is a question that the SG raises on the family, those and those things. There is a document. The resolution was resolution 8 of his own report to the 24th General Assembly. And there is a resolution on it, so maybe he needs to check whether what he has said is in agreement again with what he had decided in that resolution. I have checked, and there is a discrepancy. On the question of the Mirere, I would want to comment and say that as much as the matter came to him, I pray that all matters regarding land must be somehow sanctioned by the Presbyterian Foundation. On the soft docket, I believe there is a resolution in the 20th General Assembly. We can check. The 20th General Assembly has a resolution. It was resolved then. It's only that we had delayed in the implementation. On the Kaboi titles, I am not making any figures, but I would rather say that maybe the business committee should see the numbers so that they are able to put themselves, to put them into the Sasa to confirm. I'm not doubting, I'm just saying we may need to see the numbers. On the question of the loans growing, I have a comment that it's not only the Mirere loan that has grown. The Poya loan has grown. The Gong Mirele loan has continued to grow. It is also being auctioned. The Mirere Nakuru loan has grown. All our loans everywhere are growing. So it is, as much as you would want to point to yourselves, we want to say that we have a larger problem. So let's not just focus on one item called the Mirele Beach Hotel. There is a Poya loan that here we were told is at 800 million currently. 800 million, the debt. So that's another issue. And maybe lastly, as a comment, maybe we need to assure the SG that this is not his last meeting. He will still come to the 25th General Assembly. The report that will be in the 25th General Assembly as the Secretary General's report will be his report. So he has another opportunity to still present a report. Thank you, Moderator.
Okay. Yes, Kariwa.
Thank you, Moderator, and the GAC. Mine is to address the issue of the legal office. Yes, it is true that matters can take long. My request to the commissioners is to see how they can actually fund that office and expand it. Because even as we were discussing about finance yesterday, we realize there are so many issues that require to be done by that office. Two, we are a large employer, and there are most labor matters that are affecting each one of us. And I believe that each parish or presbytery may need support or advice from that department. I would even suggest that we have it expanded as a legal office so that it will address many issues. One of the challenges we are facing is that we are taking some decisions without a backup of some legal opinion. And if we can only fund the office, it is likely to give a better view of things to be done. It will be useful to the foundation and our institutions, at least even for the matter of opinion. So the office may be working slowly because of first the issue of funding and even the personnel and even the other facilities like a registry. I do not know whether the head office has a registry where one can quickly access the issues that are required for going to court. So I would suggest that we have better funding for the office, improvement in terms of personnel and infrastructure to enable them be very, very useful to the entire church. Thank you.
Elder Gishoki.
Moderator and the GSC, the Secretary General report and the comments of the moderator points to a church that is carrying a lot of weight. And in my comments, I can suggest that at this juncture, we can form a forgiveness and reconciliation commission so that the moderator comments points a church that is eager to heal. So let us put most of these issues to a closure, because such a big institution as ours is carrying little baggage. And it's time that in this GSE, we form not a truth and reconciliation, because truth is already out. We form a forgiveness and reconciliation commission, because the truth has set us free. We know everything now, and everything now should rest. I rest my case.
Evan Peters.
Thank you, Moderator, and the GAC. Mine is comment on chaplaincy. I realize, Moderator, that the church have lost the chaplaincy of the Kenya Police College in Kiganjo. We are currently not having a chaplain, and I don't know whether there is something that can be done to make sure that that is salvaged before we go too far. So my comment is that such a historical priority that we had been given by the churches to host the chaplaincy in the college should not be let to go. Therefore, can the church try to consider that?
Okay. I would comment on that, that had happened. There was an issue in regard to our chaplain. He retired, and then we were not given an opportunity to second a chaplain there. But now, a very good conversation is ongoing. So it's only that sometimes you don't want to report on things that have not been concluded, but we are already engaging into having our very own Presbyterian into that institution as a chaplain. That is coming. I'm seeing it coming. But since it's not yet concluded, we cannot report it. But that engagement is there. Let's get to the resolutions.
Resolutions. This GAC receives the report of the Secretary General with thanks to God for services well rendered.
Taken.
This GAC recognizes the need to evangelize and do mission to our young children who are in school. Further, this GAC instructs the Christian Education Department to develop a mission strategy, especially on digital platforms to mission to our children, including those in private schools.
Taken. Amendment.
This GAC recognizes the need to evangelize and do mission to our young children who are in school. Further, this GAC instructs the Christian Education Department in consultation with the business committee. To develop mission strategy so that it doesn't develop and then release it before it has come to the business committee. Moderator.
Taken? Yes.
Number 3, this GAC notes with great concern the negative effect of crash program catechism classes, which have affected the quality of our young members and discourages this. Further, this GAC instructs the business committee to come up with a creative catechism program for our young people, which will ground them better on faith and Presbyterianism.
Taken. Amendment.
Moderator, we need to replace the word negative effects to adverse effects. And then we need to remove the word young members because it's affecting our members, not just young members. It is the members of the PCA. Then we need to add, to come up with a creative and unified, that's a catechism class for all, not just for the young people.
Taken.
Okay, number 4, this GAC notes with concern that the PCA continues to lose many of its bright young people to other ministries upon joining universities, largely because of the absence of a structured PCA ministry in those institutions. Accordingly, this GAC directs the Youth Department and the Christian Education Department to develop a clear strategy for PCA college ministry aimed at reaching, nurturing, and retaining these young people within the life and the witness of the PCA Church.
Taken. Amendment.
Moderator, sir, we have to make sure that we do not give departments leeways to develop things before they come to the business committee. So I propose that we say, accordingly, this GAC directs the business committee. The business committee will then reach out to those departments that are concerned. The business committee to develop a clear strategy for PCA college ministry aimed at reaching, nurturing, and retaining those young people.
Second. Another amendment.
Moderator, the way we start that resolution, sounds as if we are acting out of fear. I would propose that we just mention that we are concerned that we do not have strong ministry in those institutions, rather than saying that we are afraid others are taking our members. So that we just say we note that we don't have strong ministries in the universities, and as listed there, we go ahead with the instructing the youth department.
Taken? Great.
Number 5, this GAC appreciates.
I guess when the amendments are accepted, there is a sheet that goes out to ensure that we do not lose that. Thank you.
Number 5, this GAC appreciates the ministry expansion by having the tent makers and ministers from the non-traditional communities in PCA. Further, this GAC recommends the employment and empowerment of evangelists from the same communities who will serve the purpose of evangelizing those communities on a more permanent basis, as they are not subject to transference.
Taken?
Number 6, this GAC notes with concern the abrupt transfer of all head of department HODs at once. Further, this GAC instructs the Office of the Deputy Secretary General through the Business Committee to immediately develop a clear contractual framework defining the term of ministers appointed to serve as HODs, together with the terms and conditions governing the renewal of their contract.
We already made a resolution about it, so that is dropped.
Okay. Number 7, this GAC instructs that all HODs employed by the church shall serve on a 3-year contract renewable. I don't know whether this is covered, moderator.
It's already covered.
Okay.
So that's dropped.
Number 8, this GAC notes the existing gap in that both the moderator and the Secretary General do not have a dedicated research support to enhance the discharge of their responsibility. Accordingly, this GAC directs that the 2 officers be provided with an official personal assistant who should be a parish theologian to support them in the organization of their work and research on various matters.
This matter should go to the business because the narrative was wrong. The narrative that brought it up was wrong. And maybe it's a valid concern. So why don't we take it to the business for them to discuss and see its viability?
Okay.
Dropped.
Number 9, this GAC notes the support by the Family Bank in giving us interest to all our deposits. Further, this GAC continues to encourage all our entities to join for our common financial good.
There was a resolution from finance that covered not just Family Bank, but said we could negotiate also other banks. So this one would not lie with the other one, because the other one was encouraging us, Sokohuru. We go into the market, Family Bank is one, but we still could get terms from others. We are not, the Family Bank is not an extension of PCA. So if we got better terms from another bank, why not? So we dropped that one.
This GAC notes and appreciates the various fraternals in the church and the way they have continued to bring close fellowship among the members of the various categories. Further, this GAC reminds the church that the fraternals are not supposed to touch on any policy or administrative issues.
Taken?
This GAC notes with concern the high cost of producing the physical docket for the GAC or GAC. Further, this GAC instructs that going forth, the same docket be fully in soft copy, and the Office of the Secretary General ensures that the same is safely stored for archival and historical purposes.
Yes.
Thank you, Moderator, Honorable Commissioners and Delegates. The information is that the 20th General Assembly has a resolution. I may not remember the number, and I'm trying to get the docket, but there is a resolution that we should.
He notes and appreciate the election of the Secretary General as an executive member in that new law.
Taken?
This GAC appreciate the new partnership with Eco Church and welcomes them to Kenya during their annual meeting in 2027.
Is Zahad? Yes?
Moderator, partnership documents should first come to the business committee, so that because we may not have time here to interrogate partnership documents. So this resolution, moderator, should be padded until the business committee have seen those partnership documents. Moderator.
Yeah, in fact, is it the Congo people wanted to partner with us? We formed a subcommittee in the business committee. They even visited. And since we already have an existing partnership with the PCUSA, and this is a group, we need to understand properly who they are. So the best route is to have it studied at the business committee level. Yes?
Maybe just for informational purposes, with some inside knowledge, we have partnership with PCUSA, but when the PCUSA voted to change the ordination standards to ordain people of all sexual orientations, more than half of the PCUSA members, the biggest congregations, moved and formed the Evangelical Covenant Order of Presbyterians. So it has come from PCUSA, much as we look into the way of partnering with them and not affecting our relationship with PCUSA. But ECO is now PCUSA, the biggest denomination that has come. PCUSA has has less than that of the members. ECO moved with the members of the Presbyterians. So for information purposes, much as it goes to the business committee to look into it, it will be more beneficial for us to partner with ECO as a church.
The business committee is hearing, so when you study the matter, give us the right advice. But I remember of late we have sent our very own people here on this desk to the PCUSA General Assembly. Yes, we have been visitors to that. So we cannot really say that we don't smell like them, because we have, even some of the diaspora churches are under PCUSA. So we cannot claim that we don't smell like PCUSA, much as maybe it comes a time we make a decision, but let's get the full information, part of what Dr. Karibi is saying, and anything else, so that we make a decision about ECO, even as maybe we make a decision about PCUSA.
Thank you, Moderator. 14, this GAC notes and appreciates the work done by Johnny and friends, who are our partners in the ministry to the differently abled persons, and trainings and pledges to keep the same.
Taken.
This GAC appreciates and commends the work done by Booth Foundation in construction of both schools. Further, this GAC instructs the Christian Education Committee through the business committee to form an umbrella body for a common management and coordination of the school. Further, this GAC instructs that no Booth school should be built on land which does not belong to the church, and only where ownership documents are in place and have been duly verified.
I have a bit of an issue with that, because Booth does not work with us directly. It comes through Nedeni outreach program. Am I right? Does Booth fund those projects directed to us or through the Nedeni outreach program? Isn't that the reality? That's the reality. And the Nedeni outreach program of Stulos reports to Mission Board. It reports to Mission Board. So this is a matter that actually needs to be referred to the Mission Board, so that they take it as the wisdom because I know every meeting we go for, the mission board's meeting we go for, the NOP are represented, they make a report, and the people deliberate over it. So that would be the appropriate place to deal with those matters. Then involve the mission board in deciding on this matter. And Secretary General, you are a member of the mission board. So there would be no trouble in having the matter taken there. Yes?
In the interest of a resolution, maybe we can retain that resolution by amending it. This GAC appreciates and commends the work done by the Booth Foundation in construction of the Booth schools. Further, this GAC instructs the mission board in consultation with the Christian Education Department and through the business committee to form an umbrella body, because it is the Christian Education Department will be the body eventually who will be in charge of the education in the church.
Taken? Yes. Next.
Verse 16, this GAC notes the rampant misuse of social media, which has always portrayed the church in negative light. This GAC instructs the presbyteries to ensure that this culture of abuses and negativity is stopped.
Taken?
This GAC
is taken.
This GAC recognizes the heavy tax in the legal department. Further, this GAC calls for all presbyteries to support this department financially, as has been agreed by the church. Further, this GAC instructs the legal office to also ensure that their work is also felt by the whole church, and especially when it comes to property issues, court issues, and other arbitration matters.
Taken?
This GAC instructs the former...
That's overtaken
This
now.
one, we've already passed a resolution to this.
Dropped.
Number 19, this GAC appreciates the efforts which were made to save Mirror Hotel Nakuru from the debt burden it had. Further, this GAC calls upon the management of the hotel to utilize the proceeds from the lease prudently and in a manner that promotes the financial stability and sustainability of the hotel.
I'm hesitant to ask for your remarks because there are committees that should tell us these things. Mirere Nakuru is a property. It uses the PIN of foundation. They are the people who should tell us the status. Even if other efforts are made administratively, you know, PCA, we are not Episcopalian. There must be people who make a decision about it. So when we take it from at this level, and the foundation says nothing about it, it will be exposed. So we need the foundation to tell us about whatever happened in regard to now Mirere Nakuru being under another investor because it uses the PIN of foundation. And I know there have been issues about some payments in regard to that. So this resolution should better come from foundation to tell us how, for the foundation to advise us on the situation of Mirere Nakuru.
This GAC calls upon the PCA members to defend the family ethos. Further, this GAC instructs all presbyteries to ensure fidelity to the biblical principles of the family values and adhere to what our practice and procedure teaches on matters of marriage and divorce.
Information?
Made it as a comment that in the report to the 24th GA, the Secretary General in paragraph number 3 had raised the issue, and then there was a resolution number 8 in that document, in that docket. This is how that resolution reads. The GA notes with concern the new threats that pose threats to Christian values. Further, the GA instructed the training committee to set apart a theological panel to do research and give proper advice to the church concerning family ethos and the upcoming threats. So there is already a resolution in the GA on that matter, Moderator.
Again, the Constitution is clear on these matters. So why would we want to legislate on a matter that is in the Constitution? The Constitution is very clear on how matters, marriage, divorce, should be processed. So is there an issue? Is there any petition that has been brought or an appeal of anything? So since the Constitution says clearly how we handle issues of marriage and divorce, why would a resolution? What purpose have when we already have a Constitution that says this is what gap are we filling with this resolution? That's my question. What gap is there are we filling with this resolution? Already in our laws, our church laws, it is stated how marriage of all kind of officers, including ministers, elders, members, it is all there. So what gap is this resolution filling? Sorry?
The GAC knows that the current rules on data handling and protection expose the church to significant risk. Further, this GAC instructs the Office of the Legal Officer and the Office of the Secretary General, of course, through the Business Committee, to ensure that the whole church is well educated on the legal framework to prevent avoidable legal exposure and penalties. This GAC received the JPRC report with thanksgiving to God and expresses its appreciation to congregation, parishes, and presbyteries for their commitment and support in strengthening JPRC structures across the church.
Taken.
This GAC recommends the establishment of mediation centers in all presbyteries to formalize mediation and reconciliation desks and to ensure the efficient and effective utilization of skills of the church leaders and members trained as satisfied professional mediators. Further, the GAC encourages the adoption of alternative dispute resolution as the primary approach to conflict management within the church at all levels.
Taken.
This GAC directs the JPRC department to organize and expert training and capacity building programs for church leaders to serve as mediators, arbitrators, paralegals, and civic and voter educators, with particular focus on civic awareness, voter education, and governance. Further, the GAC directs the department to strengthen partnership with faith-based and justice-focused organizations while upholding Christian values and principles.
Second, there's a hard. Peters.
Thank you, moderator. I believe this resolution is talking of the core mandate of this department. So should we repeat it as a resolution, which I think is the core mandate of this department?
Well, yeah, we said if something is working, you don't fix it. If already there isn't any gap, why would we need a resolution? So we drop it.
Finally, this GAC receives the report of SLBS with thanksgiving to God and thanks the trustees for their commitment in ensuring that retirement benefit for members is well safeguarded and growing.
Taken. Any additional? Reverend.
It's an issue, moderator, the Secretary General had insinuated that in his report, and I would propose to develop this resolution. Considering the increasing numbers of retired ministers, this GAC instructs the Business Committee to develop and present to the next GA a representation in church courts matrix for retired ministers. This will determine how many should come to the presbyteries. I am picking from his own report, moderator.
Taken? Taken? Yes. It's taken. If it's the people in the business who say that. Thank you. Any other? Okay. Looks like you are done. Thank you. We are done with the resolutions, aren't we? So let's move on. Okay. Okay, where are we now in terms of time?
Monitor, I think now if we can take a short break and have a cup of tea and come to... Yes, we have not taken tea, Monitor. So that we can quickly come back and finish a number of matters that are pending.
Okay, I'm advised. We haven't taken tea. I thought it's lunch hour, but I'm advised that you cannot jump the queue. You start with the tea, then proceed to the lunch. Okay, so do you invite worship? So how long should we be out?
Please, moderator.
10 are not enough.
20 minutes, moderator. Yes. And as we take the 20 minutes, we continue to support our exhibitors who are out here with us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Why? You want to hear what you leave?
That it will take time for them to arrange themselves here. So once we come in, the choir will be the first item. Thank you.